What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Clint Eastwood's new legal thriller courtroom drama film, Juror Number 2, starring Nicholas Hoult. This is perhaps the final film from Clint Eastwood. Of course, Clint, in his 90s, has made dozens on dozens of films as a director, in addition to the countless movies he starred in his, 50, 60 plus year long career at the movies. A legendary run, to be sure. And people seem to think this is probably his last one. We don't know. It very well could not be. We know that Clint Eastwood works quickly, one tank Clint, so I would not be shocked if he makes another movie. But I think the reason a lot of this, comment is coming about because Juror Number 2 is a really good time. And it's such a shame what's happened with this movie, with Warner Brothers basically shelving the movie while still releasing it. This movie was released in only 50 theaters in the United States with no plans for expansion at all. And it's held those 50 theaters more or less for the last 3 weeks or so. When this originally happened, people were worried it was going to be like a 1 week release and be done. But it's at least hanging around. But like that's such a paltry release, and it's such a shame because Clint Eastwood has been a very loyal servant and collaborator to Warner Brothers decades in the making at this point, right? He's worked with Warner Brothers across many owners and managements and everything, and he's stayed with them. And yet Warner Brothers has taken a really callous approach to Clint's perhaps final film, and the excuse being bandied about is that his previous movie, Cry Macho, a film I didn't really care for that much, did not do that well at the box office. That being said, was not exactly an expensive movie per se, just like Juror Number 2 isn't. David Zaslav at Warner Bros. Discovery, invoking the famous quote, "It's show business, not show friends," and yet it just feels like a strange stance to take because Juror Number 2 is a very crowd pleasing legal thriller film coming out the same year that Presumed Innocent was a massive hit on Apple TV Plus. Meanwhile, Warner's released the Robert Zemeckis film Here, which had really no chance of finding any audience at the box office, and of course did in fact bomb. It's just a bad situation all around, and of course, the worst thing about it is that this is a good movie, and you wish this was in front of more people and getting more awareness. Of course, with a release that small, Warner Bros. Is not promoting this movie in the slightest, so we'll see what happens. This will eventually show up on Max, you would imagine, pretty soon. I would not expect much of an awards run for the movie either, though, just because of the lack of resources Warner Bros. Wants to invest in the movie. Nonetheless, I think Juror Number 2 is good. Despite the lack of faith from Warner Brothers, I liked Clint Eastwood's Juror Number 2 a lot. And if this is his final film, it's a really awesome movie to end a legendary career with. The premise is so tight and yet very compelling. What if a juror selected for a high profile murder trial begins to learn that perhaps they are actually responsible for the crime in question? Nicholas Hoult does a great job in the lead role, and the movie, I think, really presents a lot of, I think, questionable morals and ethical decisions, and certainly makes you think. It's a lot thornier and rougher around the edges than something like this perhaps could have been in someone else's hands. And of course, when the movie progresses to a 12 Angry Men s jury deliberation set of sequences, it's again really compelling drama. This is a formula that people like for a reason. It's just very engaging. In smaller roles, you have Tony Collette as the prosecutor and Chris Messina as the defense attorney, both giving good performances. J.K. Simmons is another member of the jury who has more to contribute than he initially leads on. These are small parts for the most part, but they all lend themselves, I think, well to the progression of the film. Even Zoe Deutsch, I think, does a good job with the movie, despite the fact that she's really only playing a thankless pregnant wife role to Holt's main character. It's also great to see Kiefer Sutherland pop up kind of out of nowhere as a Alcoholics Anonymous rep for Nicholas Holt's character Justin, who also kind of doubles as his voice of reason and legal advice once Justin starts to really question what he should do, as he's clearly being consumed by the key conflict that he's found himself in. Justin is a new father who needs to send an innocent man to prison to prevent himself from going to prison and breaking his own family. It's a really challenging quandary, And the movie doesn't really leave you with easy answers per se. I think the progression of the plot leaves you just with a lot to kind of chew on, and like the ending and its abruptness certainly contributes to that. So yeah, in conclusion, I really enjoyed Clint Eastwood's Juror Number Two. It's both crowd pleasing but also pretty thought provoking at the same time. It's a nice, I think, like elevated version of the traditional like legal drama. It's certainly more down the middle than say Anatomy of a Fall was last year. It's not quite that in depth, but I think the simple yet effective presentation of the clear conflict in this film is really compelling. But let me know, what did you think of Clint Eastwood's Juror Number Two? Did you like it as much as I did? Let me know, and for more movie reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.